What's up guys, Kevin here from thesportsgeek.com, and in this video I'm going to go over my DraftKings and FanDuel NFL Conference Championship picks. And because business is booming, we're also going to go over some betting picks as well. But I will warn you, I'm a little bit biased towards one team left in these playoffs, so I'll let you guys try to figure out which team that is by the end of the video. Alright, here we go. Alright, so I thought I'd have a little bit of fun there with that intro. I know a lot of you guys know that I'm a Steelers fan, but there's a lot of new viewers each week that might not know that. So I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a warning that there might be some bias in my picks. I try not to let my biases get in the way for my betting and for DFS purposes, but sometimes they're there just naturally. So I thought I'd let you guys know that. I'm going to give you guys my betting picks, and then I'm also going to talk about the DFS slate a little bit. So for the betting picks, make sure you guys are also heading over to thesportsgeek.com. We've got some DFS picks already. Betting picks will probably be uploaded on Saturday or very early Sunday. The guys might be on the other side from what I'm going to talk about today for my two picks. So if you want to check their picks, check their picks. And then another thing that I recommend, especially for these big games that are fun to watch, like the conference championships and the Super Bowl, I go with my gut feel over what other people are telling me. But if you're kind of up in the air, that's when you might want to look for advice. So I'd go with your gut feel. It's a lot more fun when you're cheering for what you feel is right. So if you have a feel for either of the games, I'd probably go with that. If you're kind of looking for advice, I'd check in on the Sports Geek articles on Sunday. And I'll also give you my kind of outlook on the two games. So I'm going to be on the Falcons -5. Just love their offense. I think their defense is a little underrated. They don't have the best stats on defense, but they're also usually scoring a ton of points, so that's not helping that out. They're giving up probably more yards and more points against because their offense is so good. I don't think the Green Bay defense is very good at all. I think they can maybe slow down the run a little bit, but I think Matt Ryan should be able to pick them apart. And obviously they've got Aaron Rodgers to deal with, and that's not easy, especially with how hot he is right now. But I think they slow him down a little bit compared to the rate he's been going at lately. So I think the Falcons offense is maybe the best in the NFL right now, and I think their defense is a little underrated. They've got the home field there. It's going to be loud in the dome. I think that gives them an extra 3 to maybe even 4 points. And then just like them overall as a team a little bit better. So I have them winning. I have them covering the 5 points. I wouldn't be surprised if they won by 7 or more. So that's my pick in that game, Falcons -5. And then I'm going with my Steelers +6. I really love that line. Maybe my favorite bet of the year. Maybe my favorite bet in the playoffs ever. But I am a Steelers fan. I don't know if it's all bias, but I couldn't believe the line at 6. I thought it'd open up around 4. And so when I got the 6, I jumped on it right away. Surprised it hasn't moved much from there. It kind of dropped to 5.5 for a bit. It's back up to 6. So again, beating the Patriots, especially in the playoffs, is never easy. But I think the Steelers do have a great chance. They've got a really good offense. If you look at Roethlisberger's career in the playoffs, 11-6 against the spread overall. 4-1 against the spread on the road. So a lot of people talk about his struggles on the road. He is 4-1 against the spread and 4-2 against the spread as an underdog in the playoffs. And then if you talk about Brady, he's only 10-8 against the spread at home. So he does win quite a bit in the playoffs, especially at home, but he doesn't cover the spread as often as you'd probably think. 10-8 against the spread at home, 13-16 against the spread in the playoffs during his career. So I give the edge to Pittsburgh on defense. I think the Patriots have looked good. They rank a little better in some of the stats, but they've also had a pretty easy schedule. I looked at 4 different sites that rank schedules, and the Patriots ranked 28th, 32nd, 29th, and 30th in the 4 different ranking systems. So the Patriots have had a pretty easy schedule. That's why I think their defensive stats are looking really good. I think they're going to struggle against Pittsburgh a little bit. I could see it being a little bit of a shootout, back and forth type game, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the Steelers cover, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see them win. Ben Roethlisberger is great in the playoffs. Again, going up against Tom Brady is never an easy task. The defenses are both going to have their hands full, but I think the edge for the defenses goes to the Steelers, and if anything, I thought the line would maybe be Steelers +3, and then maybe I would kind of lay off it. But +6, I think that's too many points for that team. So I'll take the Steelers +6. I'll also throw some money on the money line as well. All right, so those were my betting picks for this weekend, and now let's talk about the DraftKings slate. So instead of giving out picks like I normally do each week, I'm just going to kind of talk about the slate, maybe talk about some of my favorite plays and some of the guys who are on play and kind of what I think about the pricing and all that stuff. So the first thing I think that is most important is to watch the injury news. There's a ton of injury news that's very important, especially at the wide receiver position. A lot of Qs beside the names here on DraftKings, a lot of questionable players. And these aren't just players slapped with a questionable tag because they're dealing with something small. A lot of these guys are missing time in practice or missing practice altogether. And that's going to affect the slate big time if a couple of these guys are out or if a couple guys are back in. If Jordy Nelson's back in, that's really going to affect Green Bay. So that's something you want to watch right up until an hour and a half before kickoff for each game. And then if you can pivot off some news, I think you're really going to get ahead of a lot of people who aren't, and they're building their lineups on Thursday or Friday maybe and just leaving them for the weekend. So watch the news. That's the key takeaway from this video. If you take away anything, just watch the injury news and make your changes before kickoff on Sunday. So head on over to Fantasy Labs. I've got a link in the YouTube description. Then you just go to NFL and you go to news and you can find all the injury news there. They do a great job keeping us up to date with all the injury news. So check that out on Sunday. Other than that, let's kind of run through the positions starting at the quarterback position. So I think all four of these quarterbacks are in play this week. Personally, as a Steelers fan, I'm not going to be playing too much DFS this weekend just because of the 2-game slate. It's kind of tough. So I'm going to be limiting my exposure a little bit. So for that reason, I'm just going to have some fun lineups with Roethlisberger in there. I do think he makes a pretty good play at 5,800. But obviously these guys up top are probably where a lot of people are going to go. And out of these three, definitely like Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers more. And for the value, I like Matt Ryan. I have Ryan and Rodgers pretty similar projections, but Matt Ryan's $400 cheaper. So I'd probably take those savings and go with Matt Ryan as the number one quarterback for me. So I'll probably have Matt Ryan and Ben Roethlisberger lineups mostly this weekend. At running back position, again, I think pretty much every running back is in play that's gotten touches for these teams lately. Le'Veon Bell, clear number one, but he's 10,300. I'll be trying to jam him in as many lineups as I can. Devontae Freeman's in a great spot again, 7,200, still a decent price given his production this year. I think he's been one of the best, better fantasy scoring running backs this year again. So he makes a great play. Ty Montgomery, I could see him having a big game. He got 7 targets last week, 6 catches, had 2 touchdowns on the ground as well, 26 DraftKings points. So I think these three are the clear number ones. And then I think right behind them is Dion Lewis. And I say that just because we're not really sure what New England's going to do in the backfield. But Dion Lewis is another great play, probably be very highly owned. He was only 3,900 last week. He put up 25 DraftKings points. And that was with just 2 catches on 7 targets. So if he brings in a couple more of those targets, he could have another monster game against Pittsburgh this week. So he's going to be popular. I think he makes a pretty good play. Not sure if I'll be playing him, just maybe another way to avoid chalky play. And as a Steelers fan, maybe I'll go somewhere else. But Tevin Coleman, I think, is in play. Blunt is in play, and James White would be in play. But these 4 guys, clear number 1 options. If you can try to fit in 2 of these guys in your lineup, I would try to do that. It just depends on roster construction. At wide receiver, again, it's really tough with the injuries, but if we're assuming that everyone's going to be playing except for Jordy Nelson, who's doubtful, I think a lot of these guys are underpriced. You can get Geronimo Allison at 3,800, and he's going to be the number 3 receiver in Green Bay. You can get Eli Rogers, who's the number 2 receiver in Pittsburgh, for 3,400. You can get Malcolm Mitchell or Chris Hogan, the number 2 or number 3 receivers, depending on how you look at it, in New England for 3,700 and 3,900 if they're both healthy. Sanu, the number 2 or number 3 receiver in Atlanta, for 4,500. So again, a lot of cheap receivers this week, and then that might allow you to pay up for an Edelman or a Julio Jones or an Antonio Brown. Again, depends on roster construction, depends on who you go at tight end as well, because as we look at tight ends, Jared Cook is the clear number one option, but he's 5,100. So if you go with him, it's going to be tougher to fit in these more expensive players at other positions. But he's just the clear number one tight end. So I think I'm going to try to get him in as many lineups as I can. But I also want to be in good positions in the other positions as well. So I don't want to take him and then force myself to go with someone I don't want to go with at another position. So Jared Cook's clear number one. Bennett, I think, is a great play at 3,300 just for the price. Same with Jesse James. If Ladarius Green's out, Jesse James at 2,700 I think is a good play. And then defense, not really going to talk about defense too much. Patriots clear number one, but they're 4,000. I really like the Steelers at 2,300. I wouldn't take the Falcons or Packers too much, but I didn't think the Falcons would have a great game last week, and they put up 10 DraftKings points. So they could still be in a high-scoring game and have a good DraftKings scoring day. So I guess in order, for price-wise, I would go Steelers, Patriots, Falcons, Packers. That's kind of my order for defense. And that kind of wraps up this video. I know there wasn't too much good information given out. It's tough to give out picks on a 2-game slate. My biggest takeaway is watch the injury news on Sunday. Good luck this week, guys. Hope you guys make some money. Cheers. If you don't want to miss out on any videos that I post, I would love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. To do that, just click on this button over here. Or if you want to watch another one of my videos that I think you'll enjoy, click on the video image over here.